Hello everyone! You might be wondering why this video is only an intro bit, and that's because I didn't want to put it in the first episode and make it difficult to find. So, without further ado, here's the scoop. As I was perusing through the list of games, I found a good chunk of them just weighed me down. Either it wasn't much of a challenge, or it was such a drag to get to the good parts. I kept getting back to FromSoft games just to get that challenge back, but even then it wasn't doing it for me. And then, I realized something. Some of you may remember way back when I started the channel, I was starting off as a Hollow Knight player, and at the same time I attempted a Dark Souls 2 Soul Level 1 playthrough, and promptly rage quit halfway through due to ganks and bosses being way too annoying and difficult. But that was my first foray into Dark Souls, and after several gaming experiences and getting good, I feel like it's time to try it again. Why stop at Dark Souls 2? Why not all of FromSoft? So this is the deal. We're going to go through the entire PC FromSoft games on Soul Level 1, Rune Level 1, and I'll explain how Sekiro is going to work once we get there. This will include Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, Elden Ring, and Sekiro. Sorry, Bloodborne and Demon Souls. Someday. Anyway, the rules are as follows. Rule number 1. I have to beat every single boss in the game on Soul Level 1 for the run to be valid. This includes DLC and mini-bosses, so yes, all 41 bosses in Dark Souls 2 and all 165 bosses in Elden Ring. And yes, including Millennia. I'm not excited to go back to that, let me tell you. This could be either a brilliant or horrific idea, but we're pushing new grounds here, so, just give me a breather. Additionally, for Sekiro, I have to beat the game twice, since Ishin, Ashina, and Emma lock the rest of the game out, and when I say all bosses, I seriously mean all bosses. Rule number 2. All the bosses have to be beaten fairly. That means no AI freezes and no kill through the fog gate strats. I have to have some level of impending doom going into the boss arena. Examples are False Corrupted Monk Stealth Deathblow, not allowed. Dragon Rider Cheese off the arena edge, not allowed. Running Gyobu and Demon of Hatred off the map, not allowed. Several AI freezes in Elden Ring, such as Mog and Morgoth, not allowed. However, cheeses are 100% viable and can be used, such as the Corrupted Monk AI loot, Ceaseless Discharge Jump into the Lava, Corrupted Monk Stealth Deathblow on second phase, since the two phases are still fought, and any overpowered setups that deal one-shot damage, such as the Pyromancy setup in Dark Souls 1, which I will be using. Rule number 3. Co-op is not allowed, but summons are allowed with a caveat. If I find a boss that I think is way too hard or I just don't want to deal with, especially in the early game, I can use summons such as Spirit Summons. However, if I do this, I will need to go back in New Game Plus and beat it without summons later. The reason this is that it prevents me from doing it when I have my endgame build because I need to get good, but if I have a full-on wall at the beginning, I can build myself back up and crap on it in New Game Plus. We'll see how this gets used. And by the way, the Knights in Burnt Ivory King are not included as summons since you actually need them there in order to fight the boss. Rule number 4. Obviously, people will have noticed that I include Sekiro in this list. But, Richard, Sekiro doesn't have a Souls Level 1 option. How on earth are you going to... Okay, got it. I love Sekiro way too much. It's honestly the best FromSoft game, in my opinion. Fight me in the comments. So, the rules for Sekiro is it will be a no-way upgrade run. This means I can't use prayer beads, I can't use upgrade books, yes, including no Mikiri counter, and can't use any prosthetic tools upgrades. Gourd Seeds are allowed since it's essentially an Estus Flask. Prosthetic tools are allowed since it's essentially like picking up another weapon in Dark Souls / Elden Ring, but they can't be upgraded further. Any weapon arts that you can pick up, like Mortal Draw or Dragon Flash, can be used since it's like Ashes of War in Elden Ring, but you can't gain it from upgrade books. Same thing with ninjutsus. Rule number 5. Every single run is going to be glitchless and has to be on current patch. The only caveat to this is if Elden Ring comes up with another patch mid-run, I'm obviously not going to go back and redo it. I find glitches take the fun out of the game sometimes, and most of the time it just adds a worse monotony to the game, in my opinion. I will do my best to cut out most of the runbacks on bosses though, especially since in Dark Souls 1 and Elden Ring most of the time I am going to be running or torrenting from place to place. Finally, I will be using a couple routes from Imfa, the Souls Run legend that inspired me to make this series in the first place. I'll leave the links to the 3 routes I'll be using, his Dark Souls trilogy routes, in the description so you guys can check him out. He's an unbelievable challenge runner, and I highly recommend his content. His routes don't include all bosses, so I won't be going purely just on his route, but the setups will be pretty much the same. Anyways, that's all from me. The upload speed will likely be once a week, maybe twice a week, depending on how runs/editing goes. I'm determined to destroy this challenge and give it my best though. Let's go!